welcome everybody to the 2025 organizational meeting of the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners. As per Minnesota statute, this is the organizational meeting for the beginning of the year, which is actually technically a two-year board. So if you would please join me by standing for a moment of silence in honor of former President Jimmy Carter, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business for today's meeting is to approve the regular meeting proposed agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Danielowski makes the motion, seconded by Commissioner Felber. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the agenda is approved. The second order of business today is to perform the oaths of offices for elected commissioners. At this time, we have the Honorable Judge Kaminsky to perform the oath of office. Will Commissioner-elect Hulse please come forward?
Okay. I'm not going to ask for all of you to all rise. I get enough of that upstairs. I'm Judge Walter Kaminsky. I'm one of 4 chamber judges here in Sherburne County. I've been a judge for about 11 years and lived in Sherburne County for 37 years. And not to sound like the Chamber of Commerce, great place to raise a family, live, and work. I know that this is a big day for these commissioners, and I know that they'll do a great job. So are you ready to go?
I am.
Please raise your right hand. I, Andrew Hulse,
Do
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully the duties
that I will discharge faithfully the duties
of the office of Sherburne County Commissioner, District 1,
of the office of Sherburne County Commissioner, District 1,
in the County of Sherburne,
in the County of Sherburne,
in the State of Minnesota,
in the State of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Please. Thank you.
All right, great. Get to work.
Thank you very much.
Judge, you want to sign this one first, or you want to approve?
We'll do them both at the end.
Okay. Next, we have Commissioner-elect Brad Schumacher.
Are you all set?
I am.
All right, raise your right hand. I, Brad Schumacher,
I, Brad Schumacher,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of County Commissioner, District 5,
the duties of office Commissioner, District 5,
in the County of Sherburne,
in the County of Sherburne,
the State of Minnesota,
the State of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
All right, congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's your cue. All right, thank you. We'll get a couple of signatures here.
Name is a little shorter and easier to sign on that one.
On behalf of the residents of Sherburne County, congratulations now to Sherburne County Commissioner District 1, Andrew House, and Sherburne County Commissioner District 5, Brad Schumacher. The next order of business for the board is to elect a chairperson for the 2025 Board of Commissioners of the Sherburne County. Do I have a nomination for chair of the board?
I would nominate Gary Gray.
We have a nomination for Gary Gray. Is there a second?
I would second that, Mr. Chair.
We have motion second. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close nominations and take a vote. All those in favor of electing Gary Gray as chair of the 2025 Board of Commissioners, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Congratulations, Chair Gray. With that, we'll move on to the next item, which will be the election of the vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair of the 2025 Sherburne County Board of Commissioners?
I would nominate Commissioner Danilowski.
There's a nomination for Commissioner Danielowski. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a second. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of electing Commissioner Danielowski as 2025 Vice Chair of the Board of Commissioners signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Seeing none, Commissioner Danielowski, you are elected. Congratulations. With that, I think it would be in order for the chair to grab a seat, and we'll turn the meeting over to you.
Yes, I will get out of your chair. Happily, actually. Now you get to spend the next year being critical.
We still have the book.
Huh?
We still have the comment book.
Yeah, but.
Well, good morning. I haven't done this in a while, chaired a meeting, so I'm going to just take a couple of seconds here to say a few things. I sit here about to preside over the meeting. I want to thank the board for their appointing me to the 2025 Sherburne County Board Chair. I'll strive to always put the interests of Sherburne County, its residents, employees first. I sit here with no agenda or political agenda. I was elected by my constituents to serve everyone in the county, not just my district, and do what is best for Sherburne County. I will treat the public and the board members with decorum and respect because everyone's opinion is important and need to be heard. I will intervene anyone who doesn't treat the public and employees with that type of respect. Once again, I want to thank you for your vote of confidence, and I'll do my best to serve Sherburne County. And a personal note, she's sitting in the back of the room, but I'd like to thank my wife. Simply because what I'm doing and everything that I do is because she's there. She's the nuts and bolts of the family, and I'm not basically able to do what I do without her. So thank you, Ann. You've already approved the agenda.
Next order of business will be the consent agenda with the board, or excuse me, open forum.
Open forum. Do you have anybody for open forum?
Yes, Board Chair, we have one person signed up. We have Brett Collier speaking on high-speed internet.
Morning, Brett.
Good morning. Brett Collier, Big Lake Township. A couple of weeks ago, a motorcycle riding buddy of mine, Gordon, asked me where is that high-speed internet that you promised me? Because he lives in that development just northwest of here before you get to the nursery. I said, that's a good question, because I told him back in February of '23, it was Sherburne County Agenda Item 3.3, where we approved a letter of support for the Luminous CenturyLink broadband grant application, in which we were going to, they were asking for $233,000, or essentially $3,640 per unit to get high-speed internet into that group of homes over there. Well, that hasn't happened yet, and it sort of spurred my my thinking, because I saw it today in today's consent agenda. We're yet doing some more high-speed internet access in item 6.5. In today's climate, I mean, we've had the federal government spent $7.5 billion to effectively build 8 charging stations. Where are we with all this money that's coming out of our Minnesota grant program to build this high-speed internet? Because nothing's over there yet. I hope someone's keeping an eye on that to make sure that the money is actually going towards building this internet and not just being lost somewhere. Just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Is there anyone else for open forum?
There is nobody else signed up, Board Chair.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I think we'll pull number 1, which are the minutes, and number 11 was pulled off of there. Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to abstain from the consent agenda in its entirety of the 19 items.
Commissioner Schumacher abstains.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with, while polling items 1 and 11.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Is any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And then you're one abstention.
And now we'll
Mr. Chair, you want to call for the abstention as well, sir?
go for the what?
You just call for the abstention, or just note it in the minutes, 1 abstention.
Yeah, Brad has abstained. Commissioner Schumacher has abstained. Now we're back to number 1, approval of the minutes for December 17th.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Schumacher still abstains from this. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Same sign. Number 11.
Mr. Chair, just for members of the public, for note, the reason why we pulled the minutes is because Commissioner Schumacher was not here for that meeting, and we treated it separately.
Okay.
Pulled number 11. Bruce, would you like to address that?
I think that some of the commissioners had questions, so Amanda is here to answer any questions you have regarding this item.
So I can start on that. I just think we're way past COVID to the point where we need to spend this money. Looking through, very, very briefly, looking through the actual application, one of the things that they're buying with this money is flyers at $30 a piece. That seems like an awful lot for flyers at $7,500. Also, my secondary objection to COVID is that, and I'm not going to read the actual conclusion of this study because it's kind of lengthy. But it was published in the Lancet, Volume 6, October 2024. So this is the most recent research data that I could pull up on the Association of Myocarditis and LGE, along with in its relationship to repeated COVID vaccines in youth in America. And essentially what they said is that the persistence of the LGE at follow-up in most patients warrants continued clinical surveillance, additional research, and longer-term studies. So I'm simply not comfortable with spending $70,000 to push a vaccination on people, which may or may not be good for them. I understand that this isn't county money, that this money came from the state through the feds, But that's, once again, it's one of those points where I think it's important to simply say no to spending that I don't think is actually beneficial or should be done. So that's kind of, that's it. I mean, I personally simply cannot vote for it. If the rest of the board has a different opinion, that's where we're at.
Any other commissioners with comments?
Mr. Chair. I also agree with Commissioner Felber. My concerns are more based on the amount of money that has been spent specifically on COVID. I think is at this point ill-advised. If we go back to the original responses, we spent, as a state, we spent $2 million on a random study out of the University of Minnesota that ended up claiming that 70,000 individuals were going to die because of COVID in the first 6 months, which drove a lot of the mitigations, which may or may not have been effective. To date, there have been 13,000 deaths in the state of Minnesota due to COVID. Not that COVID's not a serious disease, but clearly that was misplaced. We spent $7 million on a warehouse converted to a morgue that never got used. This season is one of our worst RSV seasons that we've seen in years. RSV has a worse outcome currently clinically than COVID does. And so I'm struggling as to why we would focus money specifically on COVID as part of our health mitigation strategies, as opposed to, our general philosophies around airborne viruses. So I struggle with this. I'm not sure the money is well placed. I agree with Commissioner Felber. The more recent studies that have come out have shown that the vaccines may have a net negative effect for males under 25. If we did anything, I would hope that would be reflected. But I can't support specific, an influencer program, a marketing program that essentially is just going to put more money in Pfizer and Moderna's pockets.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, can Amanda speak to any of this? And then what happens? Does the grant money just go back then?
Morning, Commissioners. I appreciate this. I also agree. When we see COVID, we automatically assume that it's for COVID vaccination, but really this is packaged under our larger COVID recovery strategies. And so most of what MDH does is we do planning, we do prevention, we do response, and then we do the after response. And so this grant is a subcontract through the Minnesota Department of Health for COVID recovery. And so when you look through the work plan, vaccination is on there, but vaccination under our larger umbrella. I know I've been watching the news these last few weeks, and because of the rise in RSV and all the other respiratory illnesses, they've also been talking about vaccination rates just as a whole, so all vaccinations, just not COVID. And so really this grant is to work with our underserved communities, particularly low-income communities, our large refugee health communities, and I think we've been in front of this board to talk about the influx of Ukrainian and Russian refugees in particular within Sherburne County. And so this is for vaccination, but it's also that after. And so really resources for mental health, for housing, for access to employment services per the MDH contract. Those were all after effects of COVID with disproportionate impacts to different populations. And so really this is for folks to refer out case management services out to the rest of the community. It's not just for COVID vaccinations. Actually, that's a very small part of that. I would also like to note Sherburne County, with the influx of COVID dollars that our public health department received, never hired any staff for COVID response or recovery. Really how we did our business is really we subcontracted out this work to others in the community that were better served to do that.
Yeah, I read the whole thing, so I was aware of that. But my objections still stand.
Amanda, can you address where does this is grant funds? If it isn't used on this, then does it just get turned back to the state and then it gets reallocated?
Yeah, it will be turned back over to the state. You notice on here, this money is for specifically communities with a social vulnerability index, because it really was to reach out to other underserved communities. And so if Sherburne declines this award, these people who are living in our community will be unserved, hopefully, especially when we talk about housing and mental health. They won't come in our social services door, and then it will be reallocated to other counties that can use it for the specific population.
And that also includes, I'm assuming, our elderly population as well?
Yes.
I think we can get the word out without spending an extra $70,000 on a specific group. I think we can do that. I mean, we have a lot of other media outlets. We have a lot of ways to communicate with our constituents. I think we can do that without this money.
I read through the packet as well, and the packet is clearly focused on COVID. There may be these other side benefits, as you mentioned, but the way the packet's written and the way the proposal and the outcomes are written, it's clearly all focused around COVID, and I still struggle to support that. One particular line item, $30 per marketing collateral. I find that to be extremely high. Must be very nice marketing material. I've sold $1 million weapon systems for 50 cents a page. So I struggle with with those kind of marketing dollars. And I think this is emblematic of, yes, there are COVID recovery actions. I find it hard to believe that by not accepting this grant and by not hiring an influencer for marketing, that somehow that's going to prevent us from serving the population of Sherburne County. So I still will not support this.
If I may, just the $30, it's not a fancy flyer. That is for the cost of translation, which is extraordinarily expensive. And so I just want to put that out there. And then the contracted agency is actually named Influencer Hotspot, so it's not social marketing influencers. Again, I respect the opinions of the board, but just to clarify on those two things.
Mr. Chair, so there is no renegotiation for the cost? It's a $70,000, there's no negotiating that down?
I don't think we've gone back to that. Again, these are, this is an organization that we have a current contract with in other parts, particularly our child welfare area. Also, some of the subcontracted staff are for nurses, if you saw, and other professionals. And so a lot of times their rate is their rate, but there might be room, or there's also room to lessen the work that needs to be done. I think it's up to the discretion of this board. This is the need that we identified. Again, with the last of our COVID response dollars, these dollars end in June. And so if we decline, then, like I said, we'll give them back to the state and they'll be reallocated to other parts of the state for the same population.
And then how would you propose to address what it is you're trying to address by partnering with this company?
Likely the actions just wouldn't get done. Again, we're statutorily responsible for refugee health activities, and so that would fall on our disease prevention and control nurses to do. Usually, again, public health is really about prevention, and so kind of getting ahead of it versus them coming in previous, but we do have disease prevention and control nurses that would also do these activities, but again, not in a prevention capacity, though that work wouldn't get done.
Okay, so then there would by not doing this and by doing it in another fashion, would that fall to the levy then to pick up those expenses?
Yeah, it would.
So this is more for prevention. COVID's basically in the packet is the strong word here. I mean, but
Yeah.
it has a lot more broader implications than just COVID.
Yes, and again, Minnesota Department of Health allocated these dollars under their COVID response and recovery. And so how they view COVID recovery is really working on those disproportionately, specifically addressing populations that were disproportionately impacted by COVID, and also the effects. So access to food, mental health in particular, housing, those type of activities. And so we've appreciated COVID response and recovery because it goes far beyond just vaccinations. But again, wanting to take that opportunity and vaccinate against other respiratory and other vaccine preventable diseases.
So by not taking this, that the $70,000, that will fall back onto the levy?
Not necessarily. Most of the activities just wouldn't get done. And so if we're not able to do prevention activities, anything that comes afterwards, it's hard to quantify the response to prevention. And so the prevention activities just won't get done. And so when there are tuberculosis outbreaks or other things, then that falls on our.
So the possibility of it falling back on the levy is there, and we're primarily not serving the underserved of the county.
Yeah, and if we can also get beyond just the vaccination, because again, I think that it's easy to get hung up on, when we talk about access to mental health, access to housing, we know that those are very real expenses that come through our social services door. And so really, public health is about prevention, so we can hopefully mitigate what comes through our social services door. And so really to think beyond those.
Anyone else? Brad? Mr. Schumacher?
I have lots of comments, but I'm going to abstain from this.
Yeah, he's not voting on it. Mr. Chair, one other quick question, Amanda. I'm just curious as to, nobody is forcing anybody to get a shot, even if they're in the underserved community. So this would be by their own free will. It isn't that they have to have it.
Yeah,
I
that's
just wanted
correct.
to,
Nobody's
I
forcing
just wanted to
anybody
make sure that that was
shots.
correct.
And
So
again,
this is a choice.
And again, if we can look beyond COVID and just normal school age and other vaccine preventable diseases, particularly in our refugee communities, people are getting vaccinated because they just don't know. They don't know what's out there. They don't know the benefits. They don't know the risks. Really, our job is to educate on all of those. So, and we don't have these interpreters, and their interpreters are very costly. And so, for us to allocate money to an organization that has those resources is better for us financially and programmatically.
Well, it's still, I find it hard to believe that anybody's not getting at least some of the messages, a continuous barrage for this type of healthcare. And also, I mean, in a pinch, you can always use Google Translate. I know it's actually being done in some government agencies because there are simply not interpreters for every name, but for every language, I mean. So, I think we can do without it still.
I'm still struggling a bit, because if I look at item number 1 on the work plan for months 3 to 4, it specifically, item number 1 is develop culturally sensitive materials, brochures, posters, videos addressing COVID-19 vaccination benefits, vaccination locations, and schedules. That's the number 1 item on the work plan. So I'm struggling with positioning this as a broad public health piece when that's the number 1 item on the work order for the grant. So I'm a 100% supporter of proven vaccines. I don't see this program. You want to come forth with a program that does that, I'll support it. This I don't.
I think one of the challenges is that in order to use the money, because it's listed as the COVID response and recovery money, we write the scope of work to, clearly have access to that funding. This funding probably isn't available if it's not somewhat COVID-related, but if the board wants to approve this with a requirement that we modify the scope of work, to your point, I think that that's reasonable. We'll probably have to go back to the state once we rewrite it, make sure they're okay with it. But I think that that's a reasonable position. And if the state says no, then they say no.
It's, and which is the conundrum with all of this money that comes from the state.
Well,
is
all money
that
has color, right, but
for a specific purpose, and they shove it down your throat whether you need it or not. And it's still tax dollars that are being spent, and I pay federal taxes, everybody else in here pays federal taxes and state taxes, and,
But I think what I was trying to articulate is that if the board's direction is make this more than just COVID, and that's the direction Amanda can go back and modify the scope of work and present it to the state. And if they accept it with those conditions, then you'll have more flexible funding. So we probably wrote it pretty restrictive so that it was in the safe zone. And if you as a board want to say, we're not comfortable with it being, between the hash marks, but we're comfortable with it being in bounds, then that's what we'll do. We'll modify it.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve this with the conditions that Mr. Messelid had indicated to define the boundaries.
And I would redefine them within the spirit of the conversation here. So.
Right.
And obviously, when we rewrite it, we'll share it with you so that you see it.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any more discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I won't support approving this particular motion. What I would support is denying this line item, but allowing the staff to go back and represent with the state. And if they can come back with something that's broad, then we can accept that. But from my personal perspective, I won't support this line item.
Amanda?
Commissioner House, broader vaccination, not specific.
Broader airborne, virus. If you want to address RSV and the flu, and and COVID is included in that, that's fine by me. Right now, like I said, RSV has worse outcomes than COVID does. So if we want to address, airborne respiratory viruses, that's fine, right? But all of this continued focus specifically on COVID and the COVID vaccines does us disservice because it contributes to the vaccine hesitation on other proven vaccines. That's my concern.
Mr. Chair, for clarification, this would have to come back to us anyways, even on what the motion states, correct?
I mean, if you don't want to deny it or take a hard vote, you can just table it and direct us to work on it, and we'll work on it. I just think I want to be clear, we'll work on the scope, but that $70,000, if it's for translation services, might still be in there. So if that's okay, we'll work on the scope of the project. Although I do think we can look at that item too, Greg, and see if we can pare it down, so yeah.
I have no issue with translation services. I do have issue, I'm concerned over the influencer piece of it, the marketing piece of it. Although technically, even with the translation source, that would fall under the broad scope of marketing.
Right.
You get my point.
Yep. Yeah, so if you want to amend it to table it and second it, it's non-negotiable, non-debatable. We'll table it, we'll see what we can do and bring it back to you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I would like to then amend my motion to table this item to come back to us at a future date.
I need a second on a tabled item. Do we have a second?
You seconded. You have to.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Well, no, you had.
I'll second the amended motion.
Okay.
There we go. We'll get it.
There is no discussion on a table, Mr. Chair.
You just take the vote.
It'll come back.
All those in favor of that?
No, you don't. Oh, sorry. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got it.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, now that's a 2-2.
2-2.
And the motion to table fails, you're back to the original motion, and then you can either vote it up or down.
All right. Back to my original motion then, and
So you move to approve?
yes.
Okay.
I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
2 to 2.
That fails then too.
That fails also. All right. Announcements, Bruce.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Just a couple of notes here for the board. For your calendars, on February 13th, we have the Transportation Alliance has the Transportation Day at the Capitol. Sign up is required. So, and there is a cost to that. Typically, Andrew, you go, and I think in the past, a couple of commissioners have gone. So I can either send out the sign up and you can sign up directly, or if you want to run it through Andrew and Keisha and I, we can kind of coordinate and manage that. But that's kind of a good activity, very focused on transportation and the Center for Transportation Alliance. I'll pause there in case you have any quick questions. Since Andrew's here, we can talk a little bit more about what the Transportation Alliance does and what the lobbying effort is for, or we can cover that later. Okay. Second note with the Association of Minnesota Counties, just to note some of their upcoming events. There is training scheduled for board chairs, I think, and vice chairs, as well as County Government 101. Commissioner, you and I have talked about possibly going to that, so we'll get that scheduled if you're still available to do that. And then also, Chair, are you interested in going to the chair training?
Yes.
Okay. So we will get that. They also have another one coming up on the 16th of January called Leadership Essentials for County, oh, that's the board chair, sorry. Cybersecurity training. Staff has been going to that, but I didn't know if any commissioners were interested in participating in AMC cybersecurity training. Okay. I'll just send that for your information. You can take a look at it. And then a note also on calendar call, pull this up here. There will be an hour-long virtual presentation on the critical role of Narcan in combating opioid overdose deaths. That is going to be in a couple, actually tomorrow, January 8th. It is open to commissioners as well, and if anybody's interested, I'll send you the information and you can look at it. The time frame for that is 12 to 1, so it's over the lunch hour tomorrow. Okay, and then last but not least, just to note that AMC has requested that a county commissioner participate in a work group that is being formed to look at county program aid and mandate relief. I will share with you later during our legislative discussion the background on that, but Commissioner Danielowski has indicated that she's available. It meets this Thursday, and it's almost a half-day long meeting. The goal there is to talk about, there's some counties who are interested in redoing the CPA formula, which would not be to our advantage, but also to talk about unfunded or underfunded mandates that the state puts on counties. And I believe that we will be presenting one of those unfunded mandates, so we're working on a couple of ideas. Other counties are going to present on the employee safe and sick time, which is new legislation, as well as the EFMLA legislation. And if you recall, we did a mandate research a while back, had quite a long list, and Commissioner Danielowski was involved in that, so it's pretty natural for her to participate. And then last but not least, just a reminder that on the last page are upcoming workshops as well as upcoming meetings. So if you take a look at that and make sure that you indicate that, especially if travel is involved and you want help from Keisha with hotels or travel arrangements. That's it.
Okay, we'll suspend the regular meeting and go to open the Regional Rail Authority meeting. I think we all have an agenda listed there. Look for a motion to approve the regular meeting proposed agenda for the Regional Rail.
Make a motion for that?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Schubacher first and Commissioner Felber seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, the Regional Rail Authority, the agenda, the first item is the oaths of office. Bruce?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Michelle Ash will be doing the oaths of office. Do you want the individuals or the entire board, or how do you want to do it?
Just the individual.
Just the individual? All right, and we have two, right?
I just have one in front of me.
I think, Keisha, we have two, right? Yeah, so we'll do both. So Commissioner Hulse and Commissioner Schumacher, if you'd be willing to come down, we will have you take the oath of office to join the Regional Rail Authority.
No, we'll do it that.
Yeah. Morning.
Morning.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Andrew Hulse,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the Office of Regional Railroad Authority
the duties of the Office of Regional Railroad Authority
in the County of Sherburne
in the County of Sherburne
and the State of Minnesota
and the State of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Want to go next? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brad Schumacher,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
and that I will discharge faithfully
I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the Office of Regional Rail Authority
the duties of Regional Office Authority
of the County of Sherburne,
of the County of Sherburne,
State of
State
Minnesota,
of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay. It's up to you.
You guys are going to get your exercise because you have to come back down in about 5 minutes for your last swearing at, so.
Okay, second item on the agenda is approving the county board meeting minutes from December 17, 2024.
And it should say Regional Rail
Authority
Authority
minutes.
I apologize for that.
Not a problem. I assume Commissioner Schumacher will abstain again. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Hulse makes the motion. Commissioner Felber seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Minutes are approved. We established a meeting. Do we have a list of the schedule?
The way we've structured this is they just mirror whatever you approve for the county board. So you don't have your schedule here. You'll talk about the schedule for the board later, but this allows you to mirror that.
Okay. We make that's an action item?
It is.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
And then I will second it.
Danielowski, Commissioner Felber seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And the next, setting the next meeting for the Regional Rail Authority will be January 6, 2026. Need a motion for that?
I will motion that we set the next annual meeting of the Regional Rail Authority on January 6, 2026.
And I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I get to adjourn the Regional Rail Authority meeting. That was it. That was fun. So now we reconvene the regular meeting,
You do, and then you will open the Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting.
and I'm opening the Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting. Need a motion to approve the agenda for that meeting.
I would make that motion.
Second that motion?
Commissioner Felber makes the motion, Commissioner Schumacher seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda's approved. And the oath of office. Here we go again.
On again.
This time we'll have Commissioner Schumacher go first, so. Yes.
I don't know if I can,
B comes before A.
I don't know if we can
Work that in.
deal with all that change in one day.
Get a cramp holding your hand up.
All right. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brad Schumacher,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
and that I will discharge faithfully
I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the Office of Housing and Redevelopment Authority.
the duties of the office of a housing and
Redevelopment
redevelopment
Authority,
authority.
thank you. In the County of Sherburne
In the county of Sherburne,
and State of Minnesota,
state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you.
We meet again.
Yeah.
Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Andrew Hulse,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the state of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the Office of Housing and Redevelopment Authority
the duties of the Office of Housing and Redevelopment Authority
of the County of Sherburne
of the county of Sherburne,
and State of Minnesota,
the state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to my good ability.
Congratulations.
We've got that out of the way. Again, approving the minutes. Brad, you'll abstain? Yep. Need a motion to approve the minutes.
I would make that motion to approve the minutes.
Commissioner
Housing and
Felber moves.
Development Authority meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Commissioner Danielowski seconds. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Minutes approved.
And I would make a motion to review and approve the authority meeting schedule to be run along with our regular meeting schedule.
Commissioner Felber moves.
Second.
Commissioner Hull seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Last, set the annual meeting of the housing for January 6th, 2026, the meeting.
I will make a motion to set the next annual meeting on January 6, 2026.
I'll second.
Commissioner Felber makes the motion. Commissioner Danielowski seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. And I get to adjourn the regular meeting of the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Now we're back. I'll reconvene the regular meeting agenda. Item number 1, consider approval awarding of the bid for the 25 official county publications.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. My request today is to approve and award the bid for the 2025 publication for the Commissioner Proceedings, Delinquent Tax Listing, the 2024 Financial Statement, and alternate 2024 financial statements, as presented separately. The publication is awarded to the lowest bidder based on the bids received as of Thursday, December 19th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. The low bid in each category will be determined by calculation per M&A's legal counsel. It will be based upon the price per line or column inch. We received 2 sets of bids, one from the Patriot News and one from the Elk River Star News. We will take each line item separately, and they will require a motion per line. So I'm requesting for the delinquent tax list, the Patriot News bid was 3.75 per inch. The Elk River Star News was 3.38 per inch. So I'm requesting the award of that bid to the Elk River Star News at 3.38 per inch.
Do we have a motion to accept that proposal?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Danielowski seconds. All those in favor, or further discussion?
My only concern with this is that they have to pay to find out if they're on the delinquent tax list, because it's not a free paper. But it is a low bid, so
Yep.
I'm concerned about that.
And Mr. Chair, the other paper does not cover the whole of our county.
Yeah, basically, these 2 papers are one side of the county and the other side of the county. So there is a discrepancy there that some individuals in one part of the county are going to get it and other people aren't. So I think we need to take that into consideration here too. Is that part of the bid process, Lorraine?
It is. They are both considered official newspapers for the state of Minnesota per their regulations.
Okay.
Elk River Star News does not do as many paper copies, but they do have a very large following, subscription online by subscription, and they all, both also publish in, there's a Minnesota site where they would put these informations. That was all part of the bidding process.
Okay, but the Elk River Star News is for sale paper, where the Patriot's free? Is that am I
Correct.
correct? Circulation-wise, what's the difference? Do you know right off the top?
It is on the bidding sheet.
Oh, there it is at the bottom.
Patriot is 14,218, and it does support zip codes 55308, which is Becker, 55309, which is Big Lake, and 55319, which I believe is
Clearwater.
Clear Lake.
Clear Lake, yep.
Yeah.
It does not support Elk River or St. Cloud. Elk River Star News is a subscription-based, but also online. So their coverage is actually, they have 54,914 active users as of November.
Is the online version a paid subscription?
There is paid subscription and there is partial free. So it's kind of a kind of a mix.
Would our notices fall under the free portion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But if they're charging for any of it, hence the reason their bid's lower, because they're having revenue generated from the paper. Patriots, free subscription.
Yeah, there's also statutory requirements around this, though. I mean,
Yep.
the Star Tribune's a pay-for paper, and it qualifies, as an official notification paper too. I realize, I understand your concerns, and I think they're valid, but solely because it's a paid-for subscription doesn't necessarily invalidate the requirements. I think the difference here, though, is if our notifications fall under the free portion of the subscription, the online subscription, people from anywhere in the county can still get to the notifications, as I understand it. Is that a fair assessment?
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. That makes sense.
We've had some discussion. Is there a motion to, we made that motion and Danielowski seconded.
Yep.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of the first line delinquent tax list going to the Elk River Star News, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Line number 2, financial statement.
Okay, financial statements. The Elk River Star News did not put in a bid for that piece. So the Patriot News bid $17 per inch for the financial statement. If we did award it to the Elk River Star News, they would use their basic commercial rate of 25.25 per inch. So I'm requesting that the Patriot News be awarded the bid for the printing of our financial statement at $17 per inch.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion. Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Danielowski makes the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Hull seconds. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Next item, alternate publication financial statement.
Yes, the Patriot News bid $17 per square inch. The Elk River Star News bid $12 per inch, column inch. So I am requesting that we award the bid for the alternate publication financial statement to the Elk River Star News.
When you say alternate, that would
We
define
do
that.
we actually do like a summarized financial statement that gets printed in the paper also. There
Okay.
are actually 2 sets of financial statements that go out.
Okay, all right. All right,
This really works,
Motion.
so I'll make a motion for that. It's gonna get out both areas, actually. That's nice.
A second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item, Commissioner proceedings.
Okay, the Patriot News bid $3.50 per inch, and the Elk River Star News bid $3.19 per inch. So I'm requesting that we award the bid to the Elk River Star News at $3.19.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Danielowski motions. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Schumacher seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Discount for electronically delivered mail? No?
Nope.
Don't need an item on that?
Nope, and that's, those 4 items were the items that we need to
Address.
go on, so
You're done.
I am done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorraine. Bruce, you want to go through the county board meeting schedule?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. As we move to item number 2, you've seen this before in draft format. Essentially, we have followed the same structure that you've had for several years, and that includes meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, with exceptions that Keisha will note here in a second, and then also one evening meeting per quarter. So Keisha, do you want to go through the exceptions to that?
All right, let's see if I remember all this. So we went with our typical schedule of one meeting at the first, on the first Tuesday and one on the third Tuesday, with the exception of July, for the 4th of July holiday, and for the NACO annual conference. And we also adjusted that so that we didn't have a large gap between meetings from June to July, because if we would have fallen on the third, or is it the third? We would have had like a month between meetings, and that just was not acceptable. So we moved it up. And then our evening meetings, if you choose to continue that, would be in April and October. Normally it would have fallen in July, but since we moved that meeting, we did not, and that also falls within the budget workshops, we did not see it suitable to have an evening meeting in July.
So just for clarification, so we're only going to do technically one meeting in July. Did you say you moved that up, or did we move the June meeting later?
The one meeting in July is typical. We've been doing that for the quite a few years due to the 4th of July holiday and that NACO conference falling there.
Uh-huh.
So if you look on your
There it is.
master there, we would, June would be the 4th Thursday, to accommodate there not being 4 weeks between meetings.
So just administratively, I think when I looked at the spreadsheet, I think it still said the 17th of June,
We can correct that as a scrivener's error.
just for a line item.
And then just for since it's visual here, you see July, there's 2 circles. So the board meeting would be on Tuesday, the 22nd, followed immediately by the workshop, and then that would go on to the 23rd for budgets. So one meeting in July, but it'll be 2 days, so.
Without a break.
No breaks for you, no soup.
No super. Yeah, okay.
And I think we have to have the discussion about the night meetings. I personally don't feel that they're beneficial at all. I don't think that there's enough attendance at a 6 o'clock meeting to justify keeping staff and everyone here at 6 o'clock at night for that. That's my personal opinion. I'm not sure what the rest of the board thinks, but I really think we don't need to have night meetings.
I'm hopeful. I agree with you on the previous attendance, but I am hopeful that it will take off this year. If it does not take off this year, then
What's your definition of take off?
if we get better attendance. I mean, we had a couple where they were attended well, and we had a couple that they weren't. But I still think it's worth offering And although I do recognize staff time and additional money we're spending on it, I still think it's worthwhile at this point.
And I'm fine with going through the next year to
Give it another shot?
give it another, yeah.
Okay.
Which meetings are the night meetings, Keisha?
The night meetings
There's one
would
in
be in April. So it'd be the first meeting in April. It's not a joke, it really is on the 1st. And then the next one would be in October on the 7th.
So we're really doing 2 night meetings and then Truth and Taxation, which is also an evening meeting.
Correct. And the reason, if we went quarterly, it would fall in July, but with everything that's going on in July, it's not suitable to have it in July in the evening.
Well, I was going to suggest, because we did 3 night meetings plus Truth and Taxation
Last year.
last 2 years.
Yep.
This cuts it back to 2 night meetings and Truth and Taxation. I was going to suggest cutting it back by 1 meeting anyway. That still, I think, gives plenty of opportunity. But I agree, July is a heavy travel month, you know. I think July was our least attended night meeting, if I remember correctly. So I think doing it this way is okay. It's a little bit of a compromise.
Yeah,
Is there a possibility of switching the one in October that's a night to a day?
then you'd only have 1 night meeting
I
in
mean, just
April. and one in
if
December.
April was a complete washout, no one
Yeah,
showed
you can
up.
always amend your schedule.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing I note about July is there's a little bit of additional method to our madness. If you only have 1 meeting, like after 3 weeks, there's a lot of business that needs to get done. And typically what we do with night meetings is we try to structure your workshops and your business that doesn't require a lot of extra staff attendance. So even though you could say, well, we could do budget workshop in the afternoon in July and then stay for an evening meeting, come back in the morning for the budget workshop. The challenge is, again, you got so much time builds up, you're really saying to staff, we're gonna have a lot of staff there in July. So it makes kind of sense if you're gonna do 2 to leave them as they are, and then if the board decides, we can always amend your calendar for the year.
I like how you guys set it up for this year.
Yeah, I think it's a bang-up job that you guys did setting it up early.
Bang up. Yeah,
Bang
that's a
up.
new one for you.
I know, I work on it.
Bangarang.
So I would make a motion to approve the agenda as presented with just the one typo on June.
17th.
Yeah.
Make a second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hulls and a second by Commissioner Schumacher. Is there any further discussion?
Just wanted to clarify, it's calendar and not agenda.
Thank you. I will accept the friendly amendment.
Now is there any further?
Prove that too.
Now is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Mr. Chair, the next 3 items are all highway related, so Andrew's gonna come up and Dave is here as well and just kind of cover them one by one. We thought it's worth really focusing on these 3 particular projects just so the board gets a little more information and then answer any questions you might have.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, County Board members. Thank you for the opportunity to present a little bit of information regarding these 3 projects. First of which is your consideration of a resolution to support seeking funds for US Highway 10 and County Highway 11 interchange. More specifically, it would be funds for the interchange design, property acquisition, and environmental documentation in regards to that specific intersection. This intersection has come up in a number of our transportation planning documents and studies, all the way from our long-range transportation plan down to more specific studies, the Pell that we're working on to improve the connectivity between Trunk Highway 10 and Interstate 94, crossing the river. So we thought it was appropriate to seek additional funds for the design and property acquisition for this project. This specifically supports us with some of the legislative initiatives that we've had in the past and the legislative initiatives that you guys will be speaking about later on in the agenda today. As one of our priorities, working with our state legislators on some bond funds for this project's preliminary, final design, and property acquisition. So with that, I will stand for any further questions or comments.
Mr. Chair, this is an important one for us to be working on, as there have been a good number of fatalities at that intersection as well. It ranks high on every entity's radar that this needs to be addressed, and an interchange has to happen there. So, and it's perfect timing because there's still available land to the east on both sides of Highway 10. So this is good time to start working on this.
You say seeking funds. How much funds are you thinking?
So our request, Mr. Chair and County Board members, to the state legislature during this current session is $2.5 million in general obligation funds,
Okay.
as well as $2.5 million in trunk highway funds. Because there is that white line between the use of those two pots of money on the local system versus the trunk highway system, we have to make those two requests because we have to use trunk highway dollars on the trunk highway and GO bonds on anything other than the trunk highway, so the local system.
And, Mr. Chair, the MnDOT, there's openings now for a lot of funding that is out there, whether it's through the corridors of commerce or other opportunities. And by giving this approval for Public Works to move forward, we can start getting those applications applied for.
But in the long run, we're gonna overpass this one, right?
Correct.
So it's gonna be.
Yep.
This is just a start.
Mhm.
But I mean, it ticks off every single box for why you need to fix an intersection. There just isn't anything good about it at this point in time. I mean, it gets plowed and it's solid, I guess. I guess that's good. I could go to something good, but it doesn't really function that well.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the request to, in support for seeking funds for the US Highway 10 and County Highway 11 interchange project.
And I'll second.
Commissioner Danielowski moves and Commissioner Hull seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Are we switching?
Next item.
Next item.
Okay, Mr. Chair, next item. Item number 4 would be consider a resolution to accept the local road improvement program funds for the CASA 4 improvement project between 10th Street and County Road 45. Mr. Chair, County Board members, this is a project that we've spoke quite a bit about over the last couple of years. We have been able to secure all the funding. The way local road improvement program funds or LRIP funds work is that following the bid and award of the project, we have to enter into a grant agreement with the state of Minnesota for those specific funds. So on this project, which is effectively County Road 4 in and around the Zimmerman City Hall area, we've been able to pull together a number of different pots of money, all the way from our federal funds with our STP dollars, and then the local road improvement program funds, which are state bond funds as well. So this essentially codifies that award for $700,000 and provides the detail in that grant agreement moving forward with the state of Minnesota.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion.
Mr. Schumacher moves.
I'll second.
Commissioner Danielowski seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, County Board members. Item number 5, and consider a resolution in support of applying for Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, STBGP funds, which are federal funds that are funneled through the state to the locals. So this has been a project that's been in the works and in design for a few years now. We've been able to secure $2.5 million in Minnesota freight funds. We've also identified $2.8 million in local option sales tax, as well as $1 million in state aid. So under the category of leaving no stone unturned, we'd like the resolution to support applying for STBGP funds through the district for another $2 million for the construction of County Road 33, essentially east of 169 through the northern part of Elk River. which includes a new alignment of some curves that, again, we've had a lot of fatal crashes and severe crashes on, and trying to correct those curves and straighten out the road and improve mobility for freight and commerce as well.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Hull, second by Commissioner Danielowski. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner correspondence. Who wants to go first? I know I'm last.
I'll go first. Okay. So, just a quick mention, I mean, obviously, from a national terrorist point of view, public safety, we need to get better at identifying these, so we don't have the kind of events we had in New Orleans. I was much happier when I was in Charlotte last weekend. They really had it nailed down. They had every sidewalk blocked. They had trucks in the road. I mean, they had the advantage of knowing that something had gone wrong, but I was extremely pleased with the number of both uniformed officers, SWAT guys. It was a fantastic setup, and I'm glad that we work hard on that here. 12/17, I went to stopped into NACO Central. There's a lot of good discussions there. I'm not going to go into details really. We got a long meeting today anyhow. Two Inlets Park Committee meeting. We got a lot of work coming up in Oak Savannah this weekend. We got a really good chance of getting the Morehouse property nailed down, and our Senators Mecklin and Matthews are going to make a bonding request for us, which is nice, or did. And we're going to get the dairy barn cleaned out hopefully soon. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be sold and cataloged and sold inside the dairy barn. They really had a lot of stuff stored. Some is valuable, and some is, well, you know, another man's trash is another man's treasure kind of things. Let's see. Sat on the Emmer call. There's a new vet's coming. He's still working on the ammunition supply bill, which I think is very important. I sat through a Council of Foreign Relations webinar on trade. That was interesting. There's still going to be a lot. Realistically, it depends on what comes out the next month. On December 24th, I traveled the world. Nope, that was a job I'm going to apply for next. Let's see here. December 28th, I went to the History Center Candlelight Walk, and that was a really, really good setup. And that's really about all I have.
Whoa.
Next.
Rayanne's next.
12/17 zoomed into the NACO Central Region meeting, and they basically just covered some disaster reform task force information. Also had a building career pathways guidebook. Talked about case studies and workforce development. Also advancing local housing affordability. The NACO Housing Task Force final report is available. And then there is some funding, unfortunately, in order to qualify for this housing funding opportunity, you have to be a population of 200,000 plus, but they are looking at providing some opportunities for population-sized communities less than that. And I also think that it might be a benefit for our economic development person to get the information to be able to start zooming into these regional meetings. They're very informative on a lot of things in regards to workforce development, housing, and things that fall under what it is that he's doing. I did mention it to Brian as well. Attended the sub-coalition meeting on 12/18. And 12/19 had our EDA meeting. We went over the housing study update, also got an update from Brian in regards to what his EDA activities have been, and also attended the call with Emmer's office staff. Pretty much.
Andrew?
Yeah, first I want to congratulate Commissioner Felber on the shortest update he's ever given.
Thank you.
Mine, so primarily since the last board meeting, we had the economic development meeting. Obviously, we're continuing on with that. We will be seeing some things from that at the board level for the for economic development and the trust, the housing trust. Also attended Congressman Emmer's call over what's going on at the federal level. I will say we're also I think we're going to see an interesting time based on county initiatives on what's going to happen at the House level, depending on what happens with the open seat. So I think we need to keep a close eye on that because for the most part, the House is going to be distracted for a little while. What's that?
2 seats.
Yeah.
2 seats.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, one's in the House, one's in the Senate, right? Oh, there's a second one in the House?
The Scott County seat, depending on the judge just issues findings of fact to the legislature. And so it's within the purview of the legislature to not seat that individual.
Oh, yeah.
So potentially two special elections.
Yeah, so we'll see how all that goes, but that could have an effect on our priorities and those things. Well, it could very well be that nothing gets done for a while. And then, and I think those were the main takeaways from this 2 weeks.
Okay. Brad, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk.
Oh, yeah. No, that's good. Thanks for helping me start this process to the administration and all the staff. I attended the city council meeting for the city of Princeton, and I attended the city council meeting for Baldwin. Both very nice. Excited to be there, and it was all great news, so I didn't have any issues, and I appreciate everybody here and the staff who've got me kick-started into the right program. And sometimes I think it's a kick, literal, but we got it. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you to the public.
For me, I think over the holiday weekend, I had 4 meetings canceled because of the holidays. So I only did the 2 inlets on December 18th, and I did December Soil and Water Conservation District on the 19th by Zoom. And again, I stress how important soil and water conservation and the work they do, importance to everything. Just a wide variety of things. And I had multiple constituent calls in regards to another thing. And I just want to make one comment too, that I'm a big proponent of public health. And I know we had a great discussion in regards to one of our agenda items today in regards to the $70,000, but we went through, the argument on that was that it was $70,000 of federal and state money, but we didn't have any problem taking $5 million of state and federal money for roads. And I think health department got shortchanged by $70,000 because that money's not going to come here, it's going to go to another county. That's just my personal feeling on that. But other than that, I think we can close our meeting.
I did have one more thing. Just to keep an eye on, I believe that University of Minnesota and the Regents are going to be supporting some legislative changes around virtual meeting law. So that's something to keep an eye on because I think we would want to support that.
Yeah, we'll add that to our watch list, so thank you.
Okay, cool. We'll move into workshop, convene the meeting and move into workshop. Are we going to do it out here?
So 2 things. Do you want to take a break?
Yep.
And then I think just given the topics, if you're okay, we'll do the workshop in here.
Okay.
During the break, do you want me to set up a table, or are you okay at the dais and we'll just set up staff tables as normal?
Staff tables is cool.
Okay, I may ask Dave to come in during the break and take the picture before the workshops if he's available. I'll just check on that while you guys take a break.
Break.